Hello and welcome to Out the Gate. I'm Alex Donnelly, and this is where you'll get the weekend's best racing intel in 30 minutes flat. With me today, he's back after Dan Sankey decided to really big dog us last week. It's Gilbert Gardiner, who'll be joining us each and every week. Gil, how are we?
Good, mate. Great to be back. First up off a spell.
Yeah. And over in Sydney, well, he probably got an arc to work this morning. Mitch Cohen in the studio up in Sydney. How are we, Mitch?
Yeah, boys, it's more of the same up here. Very, very wet now. I think we've just been operating on heavy tracks for it seems like the entire winter. It will be the same this weekend. I'm staying dry enough, though. I'm in the office, unlike a few of my colleagues, I've got to say.
Well, on today's agenda, we do have the Group 1 preview for the Winx Stakes at Randwick, as well as the best bets coming there, as well as Moonee Valley. We do have the Carline Stakes as well, 1,000-metre scamper around there, and of course, some news stories that will be breaking in tomorrow's papers. It's everything you need to know before Saturday arrives. But before we get started, please make sure you do subscribe to Racenet on YouTube. Hit the notifications bell, subscribe and follow, as well as Racenet tweets on X, Facebook, and Instagram, which is just a Racenet. You know what? Let's get out the gate. We'll start off in Sydney. Well, it's going to be a heavy 10. They're expecting 40 to 80 mils today, and the rail's true. So is it just, well, let's hope for the best in the next few days, Mitch?
I think we'll go ahead. It looks like we're going to have a pretty clear day on Saturday, and that's the main thing. I mean, we got through a full meeting at Warwick Farm on Wednesday when probably most gave it no hope. Now, all the rain will hit us today, so by tomorrow we might have a little bit of patchy showers, but all that surface water should be gone. So I'd expect we will probably go ahead and get through the card. It'll just be a heavy 10. It'll be a matter of how many scratchings we have across the card, but I think a lot of trainers are running out of options with a lot of these better horses. They kind of just have to kick them off because unless they want to go interstate or they've got a program mapped out here, you've just got to run them on wet tracks at the moment. There's no other way about it.
Yeah, is there any chance that we may, just depending on all the rain, is there a chance that we may be pushed back towards a Monday or a Tuesday, or is it just plough on?
I'd say plough on at this point, mate. I don't like it. Obviously, these kind of contingencies come in place, and it'll depend how much falls today. But I think we'll go with the plan that the racing will be there on Saturday. That's the general thought of a lot of people. It'll just be very, very wet.
And Gil, here in Melbourne, it's more of the same. It's been cold, but at least the sun's out.
That's right. 20 degrees, sunny. We're just living the dream. We've got wonderful racetracks, good tracks, good falls all around. So we're loving life, Mitchie. So if any of the Sydney trainers want to bring their horses down to Melbourne, we've got some wonderful race courses for them.
Of course, they'll probably pick up the Memsey next week if they do decide to turn up. But the Valley, before we do get to the Winx Stakes, it's currently a soft 6 and the rail is out 5 metres, but the Valley drains well. We've got no rain on the forecast, so it should be up towards a good track on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it'll be, we don't want any rain at the Valley. Obviously, we know it's an older, aging track. There's only, I think this is the 6th last meeting off the top of my head. So definitely no rain. So we've been blessed there. They usually get a bit unlucky around this time of year. They get a couple of these wet days, but perfect conditions all week. As you said, it'll be on the better side of whatever the rating is. It'll be closer to a good 4, I would have thought.
Let's get up to Sydney for the Winx Stakes. It is the Group 1 this weekend, worth $1 million over 1,400 metres. Of course, used to be the Warwick Stakes, now upgraded to a Group 1. We do have a field of 12 at the moment, Mitch, but with some scratchings here, and there looks to be sort of a few options for some horses, but you think that most of Chris Waller's army will kick off here, and then, well, Bjorn's going to run his horses as well because he'll try and pick up the money.
Yeah, the only one that potentially wouldn't want to run of Björn's is War Eternal. There is a Golden Cup option for him on Sunday, and that holds big dance eligibility. So they'll just weigh that up over the sort of 48 hours leading in once those nominations or acceptances for Goulburn come out. But you're right, a few of these just have to kick off on Saturday. Obviously, Via Sistina is the horse we all look at and go to. She has been the best horse in the country over the past 12 months and beaten all before her, really. So, look, she's back in for another big campaign. This might be her only Sydney run potentially. So they'll see plenty of her down in Melbourne. But as Gil said, us Sydney-siders like going down there and winning big races, and it'll be no different with her this year, I'd imagine. But look, she'll kick off. I guess the one sort of question mark with her has got to be, how does she handle the heavy track? Her one blemish was down there, really on that heavy track down there in Melbourne. So I think her class is really going to bring her a long way, though. I mean, it's hard to pot holes in her anywhere other than that sort of wet track, but her best is just better than all of these, and she's proven it over the past sort of 12 months now. Look, the stablemate Fangirl is, of course, a horse that started favourite in this race over Via Sistina last year. She's one that we know it doesn't really like it really heavy, so it'll be interesting to see if she lines up.
Surely they just switch Fangirl to down here. It just makes too much sense. We shall get a dry track next week. And as a owner of someone who wants to get a run in the Goulburn Cup, can War Eternal just stay in Sydney, please? Like, you don't need to run Bjorn. It's fine. I need the little dance money. But speed map, Arapaho, he'll look to roll forward. Lindemann surely rolls forward as well. And can Robusto take up a closer position? And I suppose Via Sistina from barrier 1, she can lob in a good spot. She's got decent gate speed.
I'd imagine she will lob in a decent spot. As with Robusto, I think they probably go forward. Arapaho probably goes forward and potentially makes his own luck there. Rachel King's come back from Japan to ride him. But look, he'll just be getting warm late potentially as well. Arapaho, given he's got a Cups campaign ahead of him. Look, I think it's going to be hard. We're going to be really curious to see how far they're getting off the fence. If it's really, really wet, they could be coming from everywhere. So barriers might just go out the window on Saturday.
Who are you tipping?
I've led the way of Chow Wolf. Look, I think Via Sistina is obviously the best horse in this race, but if there's one race that you can probably take her on in, it's first up over 1,400 metres on a bottomless track. Now, he's pretty good each way odds. We know he handles the conditions. So at around that $11 mark and about $3 a price, I think he's a pretty good bet in this race, albeit I think this is his chance to beat Via Sistina. I think she'll go forward and probably take beating in every race after this on Saturday.
Joe Pride did talk a big game up in the autumn, so it's really time for this horse to back it up. Have you got any thoughts on it, Gil?
Yeah, look, I was sort of leaning a little bit towards Chio Wolf. I just wonder with the way that this track's going to be, whether he's going to have the fitness, I guess. So I'm sort of going towards Gringotts, actually. I think I've sort of changed my mind on the fly here. But I like Gringotts. I think he's got the pedigree to handle this sort of track. Pairing Kando. He'll be thereabouts, and I'm sort of with Mitch. I basically put a line through Via Sistina. I don't think she'll handle the track. I remember the race at Flemington, that heavy track. It was a sticky track. It was because Flemington's obviously the best draining track in Australia. 100%. So if you get a heavy 9 at Flemington, it's a proper heavy 9. And from memory, that was quite a sticky, shifty sort of ground.
It rained earlier in the day, and it was the sun had popped out.
That's right. Yeah, it was just an awkward day. A lot of horses didn't handle that track. So. And she was, beaten basically 6 lengths. I think Mr. Brightside, who actually plows through it, obviously won the race. I'm happy. I think there's bigger fish to fry for Via Sistina, as Mitch suggested, and we'll see her down here. So Gringotts, I think if he's gonna win, he'll win on Saturday.
Yeah. I don't mind Robusto, the fit horse. He'll just put himself there. Bjorn's won this race before with a fit horse, but we do have to come down to Melbourne for the Carline Stakes. It also happens to be your best bet this week, and it's a pretty interesting race because there are horses who could obviously go on towards the Moya, Manicato, and there's some horses that are throwing their hands up for an Everest because we do have a lot of slots that are yet to be filled, and you're leaning with a horse who won first up and he's on the way up. Yeah,
that's right. Totally untapped Oak Hill. That first up win was extraordinary. Yeah. Blake Shin sat off the back. Will say, he hasn't got a pattern that's conducive to winning a lot of races, Oak Hill, and to do what he did at the Valley, short straight, 170 metres, come around and basically loop the small field, admittedly, but get to the front on the turn and just sprint away from them under a throttle hold from Blake Shin. That was just an extraordinary win first up. Will only improve, wasn't really screwed down for that, so it should be better again. Obviously, different task. The next run will be the Moya.
Yeah.
We'll see how he goes there, but I think this race, it just sets up perfectly for him. I expect Mornington Glory will obviously be better for it. Got chopped down at the top of the straight first up, probably looked a bit worse than it was. It wasn't a bad run, actually, only beaten a couple of lengths. Obviously won the race last year. Bit harder to do it again 12 months on, obviously, carrying a bit more weight and he's the exposed sort of proven horse, I guess. And Barrack Hill, you got to respect, but Oak Hill.
There was a lot of confidence around Barrack Hill when he was meant to run first up and missed the run. So is that a little bit of the concern around him? Because if he runs to what he did at the Valley, what was it, in the McEwen, he'll just kill him.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the speed will be the issue for him, I think. I spoke to Troy Corstens yesterday. Fitness is not going to be an issue. So there was a little bit of a concern about fitness going into that Bletchingley, that they weren't sure if he was going to do 1,200 first up after such a long break. He's obviously gone back to the jump out since. He's got a vet check tomorrow on Friday just to get a last tick because he got taken out for being lame pre-race in the Bletchingley. So we've got to see there. But Corsten suggested that maybe the sharpness, like the Oak Hills, Mornington Glory, they've had a run. They might just be a bit sharper over 1,000. Of course, Barrack Hills, everything's aimed towards the Manicato. Yep. So, so he'll be thereabouts. As you say, he'll be on the bunny and he'll be hard to run down.
Don't mind it. Mitch, go to Sydney for your best bet. A horse that absolutely ploughed through the wet conditions last start. Looks extremely hard to beat once again in the Premier's Cup.
Yeah, that's race 5, number 2, Salt Coats. You're exactly right. You just got to find horses that handle really wet tracks on Saturday, and he certainly fits that mould. He was excellent handling it when the meeting got moved from Randwick to Randwick Kensington, that Missile Stakes building, and it got rescheduled. Now, the race was decimated that day by scratching, so he probably didn't beat that much in the end, but he did it so well. And if you go back through his form, his only other run on a heavy track was on a bottomless heavy 10 back in New Zealand, where he won as well. So he's certainly going to handle the conditions. 2,000 metres should suit. And he was a winner this track and trip last preparation around the same time. So, look, I think he's there, ready to win. He's not big odds, but yeah, Salt Coats for me.
And Gil, for your next best on the day, you're kicking off the day and trying to get it out of the way nice and early.
I am, mate. I am. But I will actually just say one thing there, Mitchie. In that race, Nellie Laylac. So I ran into Annabelle Archibald at Sandown a couple of weeks ago. And we had a chat about this Nellie Laylac, who ran super at the Valley last start. And she said she cannot wait to get this horse on bottomless ground. Oh, that was basically absolute plows through bottomless ground. Just wanted the wettest possible track. So
I think she's found it.
I think she's found it. And the run last is obviously fit horse. Full respect to the favourite, as you say, but I'd have a little saver there on Nellie Laylac. As I said, Annabelle's eyes lit up because she was just not able to get a wet track, and clearly she's got one.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, a little something on the side there. But as said, your next best in at the Valley, you're getting it out of the way nice and early in what is a very small but intriguing race.
That's right. And I think Cherish Me's a horse on the up. Forget last start. The blinkers go on, and she's trialled with blinkers since. There'll be a story in the paper over the next couple of days. So it was interesting. Last campaign, Jamie Mellon told the camp that this is a blinker horse.
Yep.
Basically, that's what it is. Now, they erred on it, and they didn't put the blinkers on first up, and she got a bit lost.
And she was horrendous.
She was plain. She's gone back. She's trained on. They put the blinkers on, and she's airborne. So we might see that sort of come out, and they've got genuine 1,000 guinea sort of aspirations for this filly.
Yep.
Very quality filly on the way up. So I just think $3.80. It is a small field, and there's a couple there. Audio Pop Cam was an impressive winner on debut. That was a Pakenham synthetic, so it's got a fair way to improve. And Petite Artist was also good last start in a race, ran at big odds and sort of charged into second there in a blanket finish. But I think Cherish Me is the quality filly on the up, and you might want to have something on in the 1,000 guineas.
There was that little bit of a boom on her after she won that Geelong Diamond as well, so it's good to see that. Suppose it's sort of backed up, whereas maybe Blue Diamond at start 2 is a bit too much for her.
That's right, yeah, and that sort of goes to show how much they think of that of the filly, because as you say, she won that race at Geelong and they went straight into a Blue Diamond. I think historically, basically no horse has won a Blue Diamond off one start in a nutshell. So that's how high they thought of her. And basically Jamie Carr jumped off on Blue Diamond Day and said, or Jamie Mellon, jumped off on Blue Diamond Day and said, put blinkers on this thing and she'll go to the next level.
There we go. Mitch, for your next best on the weekend, a horse that absolutely ploughed through the heavy 10 last start. And I'm going to call it now. He's probably going to win either a Wyong Cup or a Newcastle Cup in his next few starts.
That seems like the sort of races, doesn't it? I mean, it's the only way he's probably going to get into a race like the Metropolitan if he can win one of those races. You'd think, race 3, number 1, Juja Kibbo for me now. Gil gave this horse a pretty good push when it came to Sydney last time, so they had a decent rap on it off that excellent win at Sandown. Now, his win here in Sydney the other day at Rose Hill on that heavy track, he didn't have the clearest passage in the straight, sort of picked himself up off the canvas, and at about the furlong pole, you just thought, okay, this is gone. Captain Maverick wins this. He just picked up late and really got through the line. Looked like a stayer on the up for me. I think he's the 2,000 to 2,400 here should really suit him. But he just looks like the sort of progressive import that you can follow with confidence. Now, I don't know if he loved the heavy conditions the other day, so that might be he got through it okay. But I didn't think. I think you'll see an even better horse when he gets back on top of the ground. But I still think he should still be too good for these boys.
I like it. I like the confidence. And we'll get to the value bets for this weekend. Gil, you're going with a horse who's second up, has a pretty decent form card from last prep and was a Group 3 winner.
Absolutely, yeah. Number 10 there in race 8 rumbled again. Now, last start at Flemington, she sort of loomed up. And at one point there, you're thinking, gee, she's a chance of winning this first up. And then, of course, just peaked on the run. Up to 1,500 metres here, second up, should be, fitter bidder again, so she'll improve for that. I think it's just over the odds, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's a type of race. There's a few sort of stayers that are basically having their first run. You got to respect running by, Run Harry Run. They've all been sort of running through the sort of the winter months and sort of not winning, so they get their chance. Globe first up, big weight first up. I'd rather have him a bit down the track, so I'm happy to sort of take him on at $5 the field. And look, I just think, I wouldn't go crazy on Rumbled again, but $34 and $7 the place. I think it's just a nice each way bet.
Okay, I don't mind it. We go to yours, Mitchell. It's in the final race of the day. Coming off 2 wins and a bit of a freshen up between runs, but is a winner on a heavy track.
That's right, mate. Yeah, hopefully we get to the lucky last on Saturday. I dare say we will. I've gone race 10, number 12, Mornington Pier. This horse has just ended up in fantastic form since moving to Nathan Doyle. Did start life with Kieran Maher previously, but put 2 together pretty quickly for Nathan Doyle, winning at Newcastle there, and then on the Kenzo now. The win at Newcastle was on a heavy. It was a pretty soft track the other day. I think this fella is just a swimmer. He's racing in great form, and around that $11 mark, he's only going up slightly in grade here. I think he can win. He has had that tick over trial since that last win. That was mid last month. So, yeah, Mornington Pier for me in the last. I think you could throw a few in the quaddie there as well, but at $12, he looks like a great each-way play.
This is where I can tell you that the other duck in the race, County Hill Kenny, will be scratched. He is definitely not running this Saturday. Dad's decided to take him back home up the highway after yesterday where he ran 4th. Quaddie numbers this weekend. I like how Gil's understood the assignment without me even having to tell him that. He's like, we want a bit of a return, whereas last week Mitch went as wide as they could go. You've just skinnied up here and we're going to get a return straight away. Take us through it.
Well, we'll just win, won't we? Look, the first leg will go 3, 9, and 10. 3, 9, and 10. Leg 2, 1, 2, and 5. Third leg, 3, 7, and 12. And we'll come home with 2, 10, and 12.
$100 gets you 123% of that return. Of course, if you are watching along with us, you will see that coming up on the screen right now. And Mitch, in fairness, you did have to build an arc to build this quaddie as well. So take us through it, because this could be decimated by scratchings, because obviously we do have some of the better races with the toy show. I know that Autumn Glow returns as well. Then you've got the Winx Stakes, and then also, of course, you've got the toy show, the show county, sorry. So a lot of decent races where some horses may be held off for another day. So you've gone nice and wide for us.
Yeah, I've gone wide. I mean, I went wide last week, and I looked back through yesterday. I think I went 5 in one of the legs, and only one of them lined up. So we could be, we could suffer a similar fate this weekend. So these numbers could be irrelevant. But look, I've gone leg 1, race 7, 3, 4, and 12. Now the key here is just going to be trying to get Autumn Glow beat. Otherwise, we're looking at probably a small dividend in the quaddie pool anyway. But that's probably the leg we need to sort of jag a little result. Race 8, 2, 3, 4, and 9. Race 9, 1, 4, 5, 6, and 12. And race 10, we're going even wider. 5, 11, 12, 13, and 15. Something down the bottom. Surely lobs at odds.
Yeah, thinking one of those fit horses down the bottom with no weight. Nice and hopeful. But there, the $100 there will get you 33 and a bit percent as well. So look, if you do get it on a wet track, you're probably going to get a nice thing, provided Autumn Glow gets beaten. It's actually, we haven't even talked about her. She's arguably the most exciting filly in the country, and she's returning. I wouldn't be shocked if they held her off for another day, though.
No, that's right. And I think, that with the track, the way it's going to be, you don't want to flatten them as well. And I think that's going to be an issue even in the Winx. As Mitch suggested, I mean, you sort of have to run them in a way, but I'm sure that C. Waller is looking at, a Memsey or looking at something as a fallback if it does, go to hell in a handbasket, because, there's bigger fish to fry in the spring, and you don't want to be flattening them.
Yeah, if Autumn Glow's their Epsom horse, they almost kind of need to run to try and get the miles in her legs. I think she'll probably get a run, but just to make sure she's ready to go into, a high-octane mile. But let's get to some news and headlines around the grounds this week. So what's coming up in the paper or on Racenet this week, Gil?
Look, I spoke to Carleen Heffel. So she gets put back on New York Luster, who is in the car line. It's obviously a hard race, but Carleen, it's sort of a nice little story there. So she did a lot of the education work on Enver's mare now, but she was a filly at the time. But did all the education work, rode her about 3 or 4 times early doors, has won on her twice, including 1,000 metres at the Valley, first up last campaign. And And look, a little homebred for the small trainer Enver, who's got actually a small but quality sort of team, sort of a nice depth in there in the ranks. And
he'd be in a great mood right now with St Kilda, wouldn't he?
Up and about with Nas the Messiah. Yes, absolutely he would. So he'd be wearing the St Kilda footy shorts to track work every morning. I would have thought, old EJ, but of course used to sell the Herald Sun back in the day when he was a young buck. But so look. Carleen gets an opportunity. Jamie Mellum not riding this weekend. So Carleen got the call up. She did some track work there during the week and basically just said, "Oh, who's riding this horse?" And EJ said, "I'll give you a ring," and rung her back about an hour or two later and said, "Yep, you're on." So it's just a nice opportunity. Obviously Carleen was an apprentice, mature age apprentice, and going through that sort of transition grind period now where it's hard to sort of get rides on the metro stage. One ride, hopefully, one win or a good result for her. We'll see how it goes. But I think New York Luster, I think she's a horse on the up. Good run, could fill a hole.
Yep. All right, I like it. And Mitch, what's going on up in Sydney in the DT and, of course, on Racenet as well?
Just been a lot of Winx Stakes stuff, of course. A fair bit with Chris Waller. Obviously, he's got this strong hand, but it's just a amazing group of horses really coming into the spring. I know he's had some great ones, but you think of the 5 that he had lining up for exhibition gallops last weekend. He had Eliana, Autumn Glow, Fangirl, Via Sistina, and Lady Shenandoah. Now, most stables would be happy just to have one of those horses. They're probably 5 of the best mares in the country. If they will certainly all be in the top 10 of mares in the country at the moment. So they'll be sort of stepping out now. Speaking of Chris, over the sort of past week, he's pretty eager to run most of them and kick off their preparation. So it will be interesting to see how he weighs it up, because his first thought was, no, I do want to run these horses depending how wet it is. So obviously a lot of rain on the day and things like that can change, but they've got to kick off their preparation. So he's in for a great season, as is James McDonald together. I mean, they could just be in for just a massive season, the two of them, couldn't they, with these horses, and Chris choosing to split the likes of Lady Shenandoah up from these horses and not run in a Winx gives another opportunity for James to stick on these horses as well. So, look, it'll be plenty about those two, of course. I had a brief chat with Joe Pry this morning as well, who's sort of really excited about what Chow Wolf can accomplish this spring after what he did last spring. He thinks he could sort of get towards that King Charles again. So, yeah, it'll be Winx Stakes and rain in Sydney, but hopefully raining winners on Saturday.
Quick gun to your head, Gil. Who do you want to take home on Saturday? You have the choice of one horse, Aliana or Autumn Glow.
Ooh, yeah, Aliana. Yeah. Aliana. I think she's the one. When Mitch was reeling off all those names, you're like, wow. Imagine waking up and looking into the box and seeing those 5 heads sort of stick out. But I think Aliana could be the best of them.
Yeah, I'd lean to Aliana just. I hope he runs her in the Caulfield Cup. I reckon she can win it. In saying that, Autumn Glow could probably win a Golden Eagle and a King Charles. So what's that, about $15 million?
Give me Lady Shenandoah, boys.
There you go. He's gone the different one. Yeah, it must be nice.
It would be nice. It would be nice.
Okay, just a reminder, the best bets this weekend. Gil is with Oak Hill in the Carline Stakes, and Mitch is with Assault Coats in race number 5. So it's race 7, number 5, Oak Hill, and race 5, number 2, Salt Coats. Now, do make sure you do get across to Racenet, the Daily Telegraph, or the Herald Sun, whichever the 3 that you choose as well. Make sure you do subscribe so you can read all the stuff the boys are putting out over the coming months. Now, that is us done and dusted this week on Out the Gate. Hopefully, we can get through this meeting at Randwick, because it is an exciting time of year. The good horses are back. Of course, next weekend, Gil, we have the Memsey Stakes. So, sure, that's going to be a pretty full and exciting field as well.
Absolutely. The spring's coming.
Now, make sure you do follow Gil on social media at Gilbert Gardiner, Mitch at Mitch RW Cohen. Of course, Racenet, which is at Racenet Tweets. Now, make sure you get across to YouTube, like and subscribe there. Hit the notifications bell so anytime we do a video, it does pop up on your feed, as well as the socials, as said, Twitter, but also Instagram and Facebook, doing plenty of stuff going out there. The best bet from the boys will be popping up on your social media feed, as well as Ben Dorries. We'll be getting some Brisbane form on the way through as well. Thank you, Gil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch.
Cheers, boys.
Good luck on the punt this weekend if you're having a bet. We'll catch you next week on Out the Gate.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.